Welcome back to Lincoln's Creations and Rentals. We're going to do something a little different than my normal building creativity. And we're going to refinish my headlights here on my Tacoma. I ran out to Walmart and picked up one of these Rain-X kits, headlight restoration kits. I've used stuff similar to this before. On a car I had 8 or 9 years, and the difference was drastic. So I've got quite a bit of hazing right across here, and especially on the other side and across the top. Same thing on this side, just quite a bit of hazing and just discoloration. And I really think overall having the better set of headlights in there, the bulbs that I put in there, and being able to clear this off, some of that haze off, will definitely just give me a better line of sight at night. So we are basically going to follow straight along with the instructions, which tell you basically the first thing you've got to do is clean the headlights. I had some Windex. I've already done the cleaning, wiped them down a little bit. Next set is to make sure you've got some painter's tape and tape off any of the painted surfaces of your car that you don't want touched with the sanding pads that they give you. So you want to put at least maybe a couple layers across the most sensitive areas. So we're going to head down and do that right now. So as you can see, there was no overarching method to how I did that. I just wanted to make sure that I particularly got some of the areas I'm going to be working the most, such as up here up at the top, at least a couple layers on there, wherever I think I'm going to be using the little buffer pad the most. So that moves us on to the next step. They're all cleaned up. We got it taped off. Now we're going to grab these little pads they've got in here. Open up the rest of the items in the box here. These are the 3 sanding pads they give you. There's 3 different colors. And they want you to start with, let's see, we've got 2 brown, a gray, and a blue. And they've got you starting, let's see, the brown disc. So we're doing the brown disc first, and I guess they've got 2 in case you need to go a little harder at some of the tough areas. This isn't going to get out deep gouges, but it will get out some of the smaller scratches and stuff and buff out those things. So we're going to start with the brown. We're going to center it on this little attachment they give you. These are nice, these little attachments. And what I'm going to grab, per the instructions, is a spray bottle with water and my power drill. So they tell you to wet down the pad a little bit and wet down the surface of the headlight. As you do this, not to put too much pressure on there. And I'm actually going to keep a towel next to me to sort of wipe it off as I go to make sure I keep some of the dust and stuff out of the way and we get a nice clean up by the sanding. So let me grab that. So I'm going to toss out that brown one, and I'm going to go again, another round with the brown again. But this time I'm going to start on this side with the fresh pad and do it all over again. So now they've got a pretty consistent haze to them. So we've scuffed them up with that first pad, and then you basically do the same thing with the next two. So we're moving on now to the gray disc, and we are going to end with the blue disc. So here goes the gray disc. Same thing. We're going to try and wet them down, wet down the lens, and do it as consistently across as we can. So that's going to do it for the gray pad. And now we move on to the blue. So the next major step after sanding both them down, both headlights down with all three sanding pads, that's the brown, the gray, and then the blue. They tell you to take off the pads, the sanding discs, and replace it with this little orange sponge buffer. It's just got a little Velcro on it. You just stick it on just like you did the sanding pads, sanding disc. And you go into here, a little kit, and they've got a polish here. Headlight Restoration Buffing Polish. So we're going to break this open and use a little bit of this on the sponge pad here. We're just going to sort of spread it around before we actually start buffing, just so it's sort of evenly mixed around the headlight and so we don't have it splashing all over the place like I did some of the water while we were sanding. So again, it just says put the sponge pad on, smear it around, put it on the orange Sponge, smear it around, polish it out. Move slowly and steadily across the surface. And then it should look sort of frosted when you're done. And when we're all done, we're going to wipe it clean. And we're probably going to have to do it a couple of times. So I'm going to get this polish open. And get a little on there and get going. So I've got plenty of polish left. I think I'm going to do one more coat on each side. Then give them a good wet down and wipe down as we wrap up here. So that's basically what it says to do. After one pass, wet and wipe the lens, removing excess polish. Clarity should start to improve. And do this until it's reached the desired clarity. So I've got enough polish. I'm going to go one more round. So that's it for most of the, I'll say, the hardest stuff, the sanding and whatnot. What Rain-X does is I also give you a pair of gloves to put on sort of their own final coat protectant. So we're going to do that, and it basically just says, nope, you got to do all this prep first before you can do that. Throw on the gloves, open that Rain-X pouch, remove the wipe. It's just a wipe inside the pouch, and you've got to get it on here as fast as you can because the treatment starts to dry out right away. So you have to work quickly. just sort of unfold and refold the wipe, trying to get everything evenly. If streaks appear, they'll eventually dissipate as the treatment dries. And allow this to air dry for at least an hour before exposing it to the elements. And then they say at least, I want to say like 8 hours before exposing it to like a car wash or something like that. So beyond that, remove the tape after it's been dry for about an hour. So I'm going to do that quick right now. Grab the gloves that they give you and put that protectant on with the little wipe that they give you. I'm going to clean up the rest of the front end of the car with the mess I've made here, and I'll come back in a little bit and show you the result. And that's it for the process, other than letting it dry and taking off the tape. So I'm going to stop there now, clean up the rest of the front end of the car, and in about an hour I'll come back and let you guys know how it looks. So we're all done, just wrapped up, and it's actually pretty clear. So this area here was one of the worst for the haze, and it looks pretty darn good right now. And then back here on this corner as well was where it looked the worst. So beyond that, the other one looks pretty good as well. You know, much more crystal clear now that we've got it all sanded down and polished and buffed out. So if you guys are interested in doing it, that's sort of how it's done, sort of give you a look. But thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you guys for the next video.